the idea of not teaching outsiders, so to speak,
Yeah.
he flipped that completely on its head because he was open to instructing anybody. And from what I understand, that's he started that almost immediately when he arrived here in the United States.
Yeah. Like I said, when he came back to the United States, he came in through San Francisco and he was in San Francisco just for a few months. And then he made his way up to Seattle because he had family friends that had a Chinese restaurant up there and they gave him a job and a place to stay. And, he was constantly still trying to keep up his practice. And when he finally decided to start teaching, his very first student was an African American man by the name of Jesse Glover. And he immediately, he taught, people of all ethnicities. He taught women. He taught, his best friend was Japanese, and as you know, historically, there's bad blood between China and Japan. So, he really just was interested in people who were um, wanting to learn like him, and he didn't want others to experience the limitations that had been placed on him as a child.
So I actually trained for a while at the Oakland Jeet Kune Do School under Felix Macias Jr.
Oh,
So
wow.
I know Felix's father was one of Bruce Lee's students as well, and James Lee, no relation, was the co-founder of that school too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, so my father was in Seattle and then he met James Lee, who lived in Oakland, and they became friends immediately. And James said, "Why don't you come down to Oakland and open a second school?" Because my father had opened one school in Seattle, the Zhenpang Kung Fu Institute. And he said, "Why don't you come down and open a second school in Oakland? We got a lot of really great, avid martial artists and people down here in the Bay." And so my father did. He came down to Oakland in 1964 and he opened his second school with James Lee.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely claim Bruce Lee here in the Bay Area.
Oh, for sure. As you should, as you should. I mean, I often say, even though he didn't live in the Bay Area for a super long time, it was a really intensely influential time in his life. I mean, first of all, he was born in the Bay, so that's like the most influential moment of one's life, being born. But when he came back and lived in Oakland, there were so many seminal moments that happened for him. First of all, he'd just gotten married. His son, my brother Brandon, was born in Oakland. He opened his second school in Oakland. His father died while he was living in Oakland. He went down and participated in the Long Beach Internationals while he was living in Oakland. And there he was discovered by Hollywood. And Hollywood came calling while he was living in Oakland and asked him to come down and audition. He fought his big challenge match against other martial artists from the San Francisco area and really used that as a pivotal moment to develop his own style of Jeet Kune Do. All of that happened in the Bay Area.
That's amazing. I mean, I think also, as you mentioned, like teaching other people of other backgrounds, the Bay Area is it has a strong Chinese presence, Oakland and San Francisco, but it's such a cultural melting pot. And I think that's one thing that like, especially the Black community has really embraced about Bruce Lee is, is that he was aware of everybody's separate struggles and how we have more things similar than different. And I think from what I see of how inclusive he was, that the issues going on at the time in these different communities were really important to him too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he really believed in supporting individual and supporting everyone's right to live and to live freely and well and to learn. And he was very aware of different things that were happening in the world. And while he was not necessarily like a political activist, like out there in that way, he lived his life as as a form of activism, if you will.
Recognize where you got the game. We got our own style, got our own slang. Northern California is a West Coast thing. This is the history of the Bay. Recognize where you got the game. We got our own style, got our own slang. Northern California is a West Coast thing. This is the history of the Bay.